Okay, so you're here with us on the deep dive because space travel really has you hooked, huh?
Absolutely. And it's a fascinating time to be following it all.
It really is, and we're going to do a deep dive today looking ahead.
Trying to understand what comes next for humanity.
Yeah, what are the next steps now that we've kind of gotten over that initial hurdle of just getting up there at all?
Right, just reaching space.
Yeah,
So now the conversation turns to where will we establish a longer-term presence?
right.
And what resources will we need to leverage to make that happen?
Exactly. And I think when we say, we're talking more than just quick trips. We're
Yeah.
talking about places like the moon or Mars,
Uh-huh.
even asteroids.
Yeah, these are all places that we're looking at for longer-term goals and activities.
Yeah, so maybe let's start with the moon.
Okay.
Because that seems like it's kind of our, like a stepping stone almost.
Yeah, it's the closest celestial body,
Yeah.
and it gives us a chance to really work out the kinks in terms of the technology and infrastructure that we're going to need for those more ambitious missions.
Yeah, so like building lunar outposts,
Uh-huh.
which I think, in the past we thought of those as just for science.
Right.
But now we're talking about maybe using those as like refueling stations
Like
for
the-
spacecraft that are headed, deeper into space.
Deeper into the solar system, yeah.
And this is where, the idea of like finding water ice on the moon
Yeah.
and figuring out how to, turn that into rocket propellant, that could be,
Huge.
yeah, a game changer because then you don't have to launch everything from Earth,
You got it.
which is so expensive.
Exactly. It's like finding a gas station along the cosmic highway.
I love that analogy.
Right.
So, and that kind of leads into this idea of in situ resource utilization.
Yes. Utilizing the resources we find in space rather than having to bring everything with us from Earth.
Which just makes everything so much more sustainable.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it opens up so many more possibilities.
Right. So beyond the moon, obviously Mars has been this, kind of this,
Or as a star.
yeah, this dream of potentially, humans becoming a multi-planetary species.
Uh-huh.
What are the big challenges with that?
Well, for starters, the distance is a major factor.
Mhm.
The journey to Mars is exponentially longer than a trip to the moon.
Right.
And that means extended exposure to things like cosmic radiation,
Right.
which is obviously very dangerous.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, you're dealing with a very thin atmosphere.
Okay.
And you have to figure out how to create self-sustaining living environments.
Right. We can't just like live outside.
No, not yet anyway.
Right.
But despite these challenges, the potential for scientific discovery
Yeah.
and the long-term implications for our species make it a very, very compelling goal.
So all of this, I think, traditionally we think about like NASA leading this.
Right.
But now there's this whole other element of private companies
Absolutely. And that's really changing the game.
in a big way.
Because these companies are bringing a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
And often they have different priorities and they can really speed up the pace of innovation
Right.
and potentially bring costs down.
Yeah. Competition.
New technologies,
Like reusable rockets.
Exactly. Reusable rockets, that's a great example.
That's a game changer.
It is, because it dramatically changes the economics of getting to space.
So what does this all mean for us? For like, the average person?
Well, I think in practical terms, we're looking at a future where space travel is more accessible than ever before.
Wow.
We're talking about revolutionary advancements in how we get around up there,
Uh-huh.
how we keep astronauts alive on these long-duration missions,
Yeah.
and even how we interact with, completely alien landscapes.
Right.
And it's important to remember, it's not just about these grand adventures to other worlds.
Okay.
The technologies that are being developed for space exploration often have applications here on Earth.
Oh, totally.
Things like new materials, improved satellite technology, a deeper understanding of our own planet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The benefits are far-reaching.
So it feels like we really are at the start of like a new era of space travel.
Oh, you think so?
One that's, like you said, more diverse,
Yeah.
more ambitious, and like you said, more accessible than ever before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with governments and the private sector both working towards these common goals,
Uh-huh.
we're going to see a future where humanity's footprint in space is much larger and more permanent.
So that's lunar bases fueling Mars missions, private companies opening up all these new avenues,
Right.
and this incredible ingenuity to get us further and further out there.
Yeah. It's an exciting time.
It really is. So
Yeah.
given all of that, what do you think is the most exciting or transformative advancement that's on the horizon?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's so many to choose from.
But if you had to pick one,
Well, I think for me, it's,
what is it?
you know what, I'm not going to spoil it. I want to hear what our listeners think.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. What do you think is the single most exciting advancement in space travel technology for the future of humanity?
Yeah, think about it. Let us know. And thanks for diving deep with us today.
Thanks for listening.